just wondering if you have any questions. Don't be a comedian and don't say something like that.
Hi, this is Leo. Welcome to the Caitos Nutrition Show. So first we're going to go to somebody that I've been working with for probably about 4 years. His name is JJ, and he's in Florida right now in school. I think he's 18 years old now, and he's made tremendous progress the last 4 years that I've been working with him. He's a great student, does everything I tell him, takes probably every supplement that I use, he uses, and he just lives and breathes the lifestyle of bodybuilding. But as you know, there's always going to be concerns and areas that you need improvement and plateaus and walls that you're going to hit. So that's kind of where I come in. So I called JJ and asked him, if he had any areas he needed improvement on. And basically he asked about, is it possible to lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time?
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
All right, so I hear a lot of people say that like taking off body fat and adding muscle at the same time is close to impossible. But that's the goal I want to achieve. And I just want to hear your take on it.
And that's a great question, because I've been asking myself that for many, many years. So old school people adhere to the myth of you cannot take off body fat and build muscle at the same time. And I'm talking about doing it naturally, okay, with nothing enhanced. So the old school way is to do a bulking phase, which you're putting yourself in a calorie surplus mode, and you're going to put some fat on. Your calories are probably double, maybe triple what they might normally be. Your intensity level in the gym and your weights that you're using are a lot higher. You're trying to get stronger and add as much muscle and body weight as you can in a short period of time. And they call it a bulking phase because it's not all muscle. If you put on, let's say, 20 pounds over the course of 4, 5, 6 months, I don't know how much muscle is going to be in that, but it's a very individual thing. But you might have 3, 4 pounds of muscle and then 10 pounds of fat and 5, 6 pounds of water. So everybody's different, but that's the bulking phase, okay? And then you have a cutting phase, which is the complete opposite, which you're trying to put your body in a calorie deficit mode, which means that you're trying to burn more calories than you're taking in with the intent of losing body fat. And it could be getting ready for a show or a contest. It could be, getting ready for summertime or an event like a vacation or a photo shoot or whatever it may be. And it's usually a shorter time frame, like 8, 10, 12 weeks type thing. And you're losing a lot of weight fairly quick, okay? So you have a bulking phase and a cutting phase. And that's kind of how I've always done it. I would do about 3 bulking phases a year. And each time you do the cut, you end up with a little bit of new muscle, hopefully. So JJ's asking the question, can you do both at the same time? Can you take off body fat and add lean muscle at the same time? Yes, you can. And here is a more detailed answer. You have to it's a balance. It's a game of balance. Because you're in a bulking phase, you're getting the nutrients, you're getting the rest, the weights are heavier, your workouts are more intense. Everything is just upped tenfold. So when you're depriving yourself of nutrients, you don't have the calories, it's harder to recover and repair the tissue that you're damaging in the gym. So you're hugging that fine line of putting yourself in a calorie deficit mode because you have to in order to take the fat off. But at the same time, you need the nutrition and the calories to feed those muscles to make them grow. So I've been doing it the exact same thing about the last 3 years. And I've just slowly, I've taken about 60 pounds off, and I've actually added lean muscle. So that's why I know, number one, it can be done. and number two, exactly how to do it. It's a very, very, very slow process. I do, my main goal is to take off body fat, but I'm not going to the gym with the intent of not adding lean muscle. So sometimes I go weeks without losing any body weight, and then all of a sudden I'll take off 2, 3, 4 pounds. So it comes off in spurts. But like I say, it's a balance game, and it can be done. So answering your question, yes, JJ, it can be done, just very slowly, very methodically, and you're constantly tweaking those calories as you go, very, very, very slowly. All right, so that was a good question. I hope that gives you the answer you were looking for. Our next question is from kind of a new client and customer. I've known Rich for about a year now, and he's made tremendous progress with transforming his body. He's taken, I believe, about 70 pounds off. I don't know the time frame. Like I say, I'm just within the year. I'm sure it's less than that, but he's very, very motivated. He's very passionate. He was bitten by the bug, and he's not going to stop. So he's down to, I believe, about 20% body fat, which, like I say, is about 70 pounds of body weight that's come off, but he wants more. He's starting to see his abs. He's starting to see definition. He's starting to see muscle separation, vascularity, and he wants more. He just wants to get leaner and leaner and leaner. So Rich's question was,
Hello, this is Rich.
Hi, Rich. This is Leo Cato. How you doing, bud?
Hey, good. How you doing, Leo?
I'm doing great. Hey, I'm trying something new with these podcasts. Instead of doing a Q&A session, I'm calling the customer or client and asking them if they have any questions or concerns or anything they needed help with. And then what I'm going to do, Rich, is air the answer to your question on the next podcast. So, hey, I'm just wondering, is there anything you needed help with diet, nutrition, supplementation, any question you had that I can help you with?
Yeah, actually, this is great timing. Leo, I've been working on losing weight, and I've done pretty good so far. But I'm at another one of those sticking points where, no matter how low I drop my calories, there's nothing happening. So one of the things that I've been attempting to try is this keto diet. But this is the problem. I have no difficulty with the discipline of eating the things listed on the keto diet, but when I do it, I flat out, I have no energy. Absolutely no energy whatsoever. And I'm just wondering if you could tell me why that is, and will that change if I stick with it? Is there anything I can do to improve that situation to successfully attempt this keto diet?
The answer is yes to all parts of that question. I'll get into it in next week's podcast, but there's me, Mr. Black and White. There's right ways and wrong ways, and people that try the keto diet don't do it right. So I'll give you the full explanation in detail in next week's podcast. That's a great question. I appreciate you reaching out, Rich.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
I'll look for next week's podcast then.
All right, you got it, buddy. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
that's a good question too. You know what the keto diet is?
I do.
You know what the answer to that is?
Well, I'd ask him if he's in ketosis to begin with, because you have to be in ketosis, right?
Number one, the diet's not for everybody.
Right.
But if
well, people eat like they're in keto, but they're not in the state to be eating.
right,
You have to take what, like, it's like 4 or 5 days of no eating carbs or something.
right. We have glycogen stored all over our body, and we store tons of it in our quads, glutes, and midsection. So you really can't deplete all of that to reach that state of ketosis. Sometimes it's 3 days, sometimes it's a week. So during that time is the hardest time, because you're going to get that lethargic, tired brain, cognitive low function, because your brain runs on carbs. And as soon as the transition is done, it's like energy all the way. You get no highs or lows from sugar throughout the day. We have constant body fat to feed off of. So if you can get past that transition, and when that switch is hit, when you're in a state of ketosis, the body, that's how people lose body fat that go in shows. That they have to, at some point, lessen the carbs to force their body to burn fat. But it's not for everybody. I'm not a huge keto fan because it's not really, you need carbs. So the best advice for Rich would be to don't do the keto diet unless you really, really were adamant and wanted to, but start doing some carb cycling. No carb days, high carb days, refeed days, you know what I mean? What happens is when someone starts dieting and you keep lessening your calories and the fat that's not coming off, so you think I gotta eat less, it's still not coming off, I gotta eat less. I was down to 2 meals a day. About 3 years ago, 2 meals a day, and nothing's happening. Finally, I went back up to 6 or 7, then the fat just poured off, you know what I mean? Because your metabolism slows down as you eat less. So you have to do both. You have to have low carb days and refeed days to crank that, that engine back up. So what I would recommend to you specifically to do is you got to start somewhere. So I know your diet, or not your diet, your training. You're training one day on, taking the next day off, and doing cardio on that day off. So you're training every other day, you're doing cardio every other day. So I'm going to give you the advice to do what I do, which is I have some carbs, and I'm talking about anywhere from 50 to 100 grams. Most of the day they're under 50 grams. So it gives me a little bit of gas in the tank to have a good workout, a good intense, productive, good pump during my workout. And then I'll have the carbs on that day that I'm working out with weights. On the cardio day, do no carbs. Number one, you're not exerting a whole lot of energy. You don't need the carbs. And number two, that's going to tap into that stored body fat. And then, like I say, Rich, play with it. Try training on a no carb day. See how you feel, see how you look, and then adjust from there. But what I would do to start, to have something concrete as a baseline, go every other day. Consume your carbs and no more than, everybody's different. Me, I do fine with 50 grams of carbs. That's 25, 30 gram carb meals a day. I have them early in the day, and my workout comes at night, so there's plenty of gas in the tank. So I would have your carbs on that workout day, and on your cardio day that you don't work out, no carbs. And I would start with that, so go every other day, and then just we'll communicate and we'll see what type of progress you make. I think you should do very well with that. But when you hit another wall, that's when you reach out to me and we'll make another change. Good question, and keep in touch. So our third question comes from Dylan, and Dylan is a student at Bowling Green. And he wants to know, oh, by the way, excuse me, I've been working with Dylan since he was in high school, and he's a tremendous athlete. He played football. He was a superstar football player in high school, and I think he was entertained. He got injured, and he was entertaining even playing some rugby in college. But anyway, he's grown tremendously. Every time I see him, he comes into town. I'll probably be seeing him in the next few days on break, but every time I see him, he grows. Once again, he's a great student, eats everything the way I tell him to eat, and when you're at college, that's very, very tough to do. Takes all the supplements that I tell him to take, and he just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But he's an ectomorph. He's a full-blown ectomorph, and he has a hard time gaining weight. So I think he's about 195, and he's trying to get to 200. So he wants to know how to gain 5 more pounds.
Hello?
Dylan, hi, it's Leo Cato. How are you, bud?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I hope I caught you at a good time.
Yes, Carl, that's perfect time.
Okay, good. Hey, I'm calling to you live from the Caitos Nutrition Show, and we're doing something different here. Instead of having people call in asking questions, I'm calling you to see if you had a question about a supplement or nutrition or your diet or your training or any concerns you had or anything you needed help with. So is there anything that that you're looking to improve on or need help with?
Actually, there is. So, I've been eating 6 meals a day for probably about 4 months, and I've kind of hit a plateau with my weight. I'm not breaking 200. I'm trying to get above the 200 to like 204.
Okay, so you want to know how to break that plateau and get that body weight up another 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's an answer I know. So what I'll do is I'll give you the answer to that question on next week's podcast.
All right, I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I appreciate you taking the call, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye, Dylan.
Bye.
Okay.
So here's the answer to that question, Dylan. And you know me, I keep things as simple as possible. So it all goes back to you putting yourself in a calorie surplus mode. Okay, we don't want the weight to be junk weight. In other words, just get fat. And there's no way to put on just muscle. So you have to take in more calories than you burn. And like we've talked about, you are a full-blown ectomorph. You couldn't get fat if you tried. Well, you probably could, but you'd have a hard time doing it. But putting on weight is hard for you to do. And you kind of do what is almost impossible. All the weight that you seem to put on, to me, is muscle. I don't see you getting fat. So as you get stronger and as you put on more muscle, it gets harder. It just does. So when you went from the 170 to 180, yeah, that wasn't too hard. And then from 180 to 190 took longer, just more work, a longer time to do it. Now from 190 to 195, that took more and more time, and it just gets. You're never going to stop with your goals unless you say, you know what, I'm happy with the way I look. I don't want to put any more muscle on and get any stronger, so that's not going to happen. So it's going to be a constant quest of yours to continue to put on weight and get stronger, but it's going to be harder. It just takes more time. That's just reality, and don't kill the messenger. That's just, sometimes it takes years to put on 2-3 pounds. I've had a goal of mine since I started working out that I'd like to put 2-3 pounds of muscle on a year. That was my goal. Then think about the amount of time and energy and workouts and sacrifice. And I ate 12 meals a day for many, many years. And I end up putting more weight on per year than that. But if you think about, Dylan's trying to gain 5 pounds. So if you put 5 pounds of ground meat on a table, that's a lot, and call that muscle, that's a tremendous amount of muscle. And if you distributed that a little bit from head to toe, that's a tremendous amount of gains. So back to the answer, Dylan, you have to smartly put yourself in that calorie surplus mode. And there's no way to figure out how many calories that you need in a given day, but you've got to try and just judge by how much you're eating. You got to just bump your calories up a little bit more. And also what I would do is I know you work out every other day, okay, but I would throw some extra days off in there. So take 2 days off instead of 1. So we're really, really focusing on the healing, on the repairing and the recovery of the muscle, letting it grow, giving it ample time to grow. I would bump your intensity level in the gym. So if you've been going 90%, let's bring it up to 100. If you've been going 100, let's bring it up to 110. Like I say, I would maybe add a meal or add a little bit of food or calories to each meal. Really focus on getting that 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. And so we're just really, really focusing on the repairing and the recovering part of the equation to put those 5 pounds on. And also I would try and, I know you do like a heavy light workout. Every other workout is heavy, every other workout is light. I would try and throw more heavier workouts in there, and that heavier weight is going to make you stronger, and the stronger your muscles get, the larger they're going to get, so you're going to hopefully gain some weight. So hope that answer helps you, and that was a great question, because I think a lot of people can relate to that. They might be stuck at a certain body weight. They've been stuck stuck at for a long time. And that answer applies to you specifically, but to a lot of people that are in the same boat. So we're going to be airing the questions in one podcast, and I think it's going to be a 2-part podcast, right, Ryan?
It'll be 1 part.
Oh, it'll just be one podcast that you'll hear the questions from JJ, Rich, and Dylan, and then the back half of the podcast you'll hear all the answers to their questions. So thank you for listening, and I hope you guys learned something from this. And I'm going to be doing this hopefully more and more in the future. We have more people that want to partake in being part of the Caitos Nutrition Show. So I've given our contact information, and if you have questions or want to be part of the show, you can get a hold of me, and we'll air your question, and I'll be calling you. Thanks for listening. Please share and subscribe to the link below and give it a thumbs up.